Welcome to the Tamarind Learning Podcast, where host Dr. Kirby Ross-Plock speaks with experts on many topics relevant in the ultra-high net worth family wealth management space. Kirby is author of several books, including The Complete Family Office Handbook, and shares her expertise consulting with families and family offices. Kirby is also the founder of Tamarind Learning, an online wealth education platform that develops practical, foundational learning programs for beneficiaries to help them prepare for responsible stewardship of wealth.
Welcome to the Tamarind Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Kirby Ross-Plock, and today I'm with my dear friend, esteemed colleague, Preston Root. Preston Root is Chairman Emeritus of the Family Board of Directors. He's also been the voice of NASCAR for most of 30 plus years, and he's been really engaged and involved with his family company over many decades now, coming in and out at different points. But I'm thrilled to have Preston Root here to talk more about Root Glass.
Kirby, thanks. I'm happy to be with you and see you. I wish more of us were in person, but I think that's around the corner for all of us. But it's great to be here. I'm pleased to be able to talk about some of our experiences and share some neat stories. And our family business is old. You know this story, but just to recap a little bit, 121 years old, Root Glass Company has been around. And Root Glass Company started in Southern Indiana in 1900, and we made glass jars. That eventually in 1915 moved into what really is our heritage business. Is we designed, my great-grandfather designed and patented, and then we manufactured the original Coca-Cola bottle. I think there's a couple on the wall behind me. So, that history, not only of having a very old business, but the design of the Coca-Cola bottle is something that is carried through our family, but it to this day is obviously important to us. But the Coca-Cola business, the glass business went away in the 30s. And then we were distributors until the mid 80s. And then that went away. So the evolution of our family's business has been continual. I won't go to the end of the story right away, but real estate is our business now. So 121 years old, for all practical purposes, we were in a buggy whip business, and then we had to change without losing the heritage. But when you're associated with something like Coca-Cola, it's such a global thing. But I think every family business, it doesn't have to be Coca-Cola. It can be whatever that family business is. You have a heart connection to it that is the continuity of family, most importantly, and of that business heritage is super important.
Well, I love that you are so passionate around the continuity in your family, because I think it is something that hits almost any business owning family. Sort of the continual evolution, and let's just be honest, the struggle of how do you continue to build bridges, how do you build continuity amongst family members, generations. I mean, we're talking you're into your 4th, 5th, 6th generation maybe that's coming down the pipe. Yep. So how do you keep that alive between the family itself in the context and now what the business has evolved to become? Because obviously it's very different than maybe when you grew up seeing your dad or knowing about the roots of Coca-Cola and its deep heritage to you. So tell us more about how that's evolving today.
Yeah, so we are a 6th generation family. I suspect 7th generation is maybe 10 years in the future, 5 depending. So we have a lot of generations. 4th generation is involved in the family business now, in leadership on our board of directors. And the 5th and 6th generation are young-ish, 20s, 30s, and younger. So the thing that you hear most frequently, and I think it's valuable to repeat, is the values, the legacy that you leave behind. And I loved your podcast with Dennis Jaffe because that's his just expertise, and he spoke to that directly. But I think the values that the Root family has and how they connect the bridge from G1 to G6 that's here now is an interesting story. My great grandfather was born in the middle of the Civil War, 1864. Through a tragic event, my father lost his dad. So my father was raised by a man that was born during the Civil War. So the guy that raised me, who I am, had values that were, I mean, at oldest turn of the century, at youngest Civil War era. So that goes to a little bit of our foundation, because the Root family foundation is very old, 1884. We have some of the original seals from it. But those are the things that, you know, those, I mean, for lack of a better term, those ancient values of honesty, family first, share your resources. That's you. That's also financial. That's also business. It's everything. Those really old family values are what carry the human side, the human capital of a family forward. And then you have a tool like our foundation that involves everybody. And then you have the people. And that's the challenge. That's the hard work that you talked about. Everybody that's listening to this has certainly worked a 9 to 5 or maybe a 7 to 11. And, you know, they put in the blood, sweat, and tears for a family business. The hard work comes when you feel the weight and the responsibility of keeping the family together. And as strange as it sounds, we're 121 years old. I hope that 121 years from now that the 8th generation or 9th generation is having the same conversation under a different set of circumstances. But the hardest work we have done, and it's not because of conflict or troubles, it's because families grow quickly. And to give you an idea, our family's not that big. There's about 33 of us. G3 is gone. My mom passed away about 5 years ago. So now G4 is the oldest of the family. But this is the hardest time because all of us have had 2 or 3 kids or 4 or 5 kids. And so the family tree is getting very big. And the challenge for us to be around, you know, for 50 or 70 or 90 more years is the hard work. You have to instill the passion for the heritage and the passion for family to a lot of different people. And of course, you know, all families are different, whether you have the same last name or not.
Well, one thing I love about being able to share your story in both the first and second edition of the book is just how you and your family have been able to bridge and be very modern, innovative thinkers. I mean, innovation is a theme too, right? It's a core value of your family, right back to the design of the Coca-Cola bottle. But I remember in the book just being so inspired about how you helped engage and help light up the family by embracing their ideas and their values too, to sort of carry those forward. Do you want to talk a little bit about sort of the foundation deeper and what you're doing to get family members on board?
Yeah. You know, as G4 or whatever it is in your family, as very young people start to become adults, you know, as I just said, you may have the same last name, but each family unit, they're in G4, in my generation, in my family, there's 6 kids. All of us have had a couple at least. So as those children, and they're not children, some of them are in their 30s, but as our kids, as they grow, families are very different. So our question to ourselves is G4, what do we do to connect them? And my goal is kind of, and we'll talk about history in a minute, and how we incorporate history into this. But I view myself as kind of a legacy generator in our family. And so my objective is to build a bridge from G1, my great-great-grandfather who did the Coke bottle, and to all the way to the G6 now and beyond. So we've done some things, and we'll talk about that. But one of the most important tools in how we do that is the Root Family Foundation. And we have some really neat, innovative programs. We operate as a foundation like many people that are listening to this have. We fulfill a traditional role in that respect. My parents were very private about their giving, most of the time anonymous. And then after my father's passing, my mom decided that it's better for a growing family to be more involved in that. And she was very open about the foundation. And then we were able, through that teaching of my mom's and my father's giving together, we were able to start programs in the Root Family Foundation that were specifically designed for younger people. And I mean younger than me, younger than whoever I'm talking to, younger than us. And those were really neat. One of them, I'll just tell you a quick thing about that a lot of people have interest in when I tell them about it, is a program called We Choose. And it is a simple grant making program that is required to be less than 1 page in the grant writing. The video is not the video that we ask of the nonprofit and the G5 person that nominates the charity is never judged on professionalism or quality. It's just, we ask them normally to do it with an iPhone. And then we have steadily increased the grant amount of the We Choose program. We do it twice a year, and now we're up to $50,000 a year and they do it all themselves. That led us to a program that is, we call it the G5 initiative, but that program is a transition to the next generation running the foundation. And so we set aside a certain amount of money each year that increases, and they're totally in charge of it. We have nothing to do with its disposition, any of the clerical work. They do all the work. And then, of course, just because it's a foundation, the family office, which ours is really mature, we've had a family office for about 60 years. The family office, of course, will help with compliance. But that G5 initiative is, sometimes we're even a little bit touchy about it. It's like, that's your deal. You don't need to explain it. You just need to do it. And they have been innovative and beautiful and inspiring, and they all work together. And when we hear about what they've done, it's an annual initiative. When we hear about what they've done, I mean, it is heartwarming and so beautiful. And so we're really proud of both of those. One is informal and fun. A 6 or 8 year old can do it. The other is specific, maybe to a little bit more grown up, but it involves much more money. And I couldn't be prouder of the two programs, and certainly my family that carries them out.
That's amazing. It's so inspiring. And, I always go back to the fact that the opportunity to be involved in philanthropy is a privilege. It's an honor that you're in a position of, that you can help others, you can help causes, you can help initiatives, you can help during crises like we're in right now. And, it's just, I get, tingles and shivers all over just thinking about how this brings everyone back to what really matters. Because one thing you actually said in the interview in the book that just totally inspired me and made me think so much about, the power of our past, is you said, I realize that the whole point of family legacy is to illustrate for the next generations that come along that your heritage is what is important. It's not how much money you have, it's who you are. And, at the end of the day, I think continuity is all about reminding us of who we are and who we continue to be, and what's the power of continuing the positive forces of our past to our future.
You're so right. I mean, that is in our evolution as the family gets bigger and the circumstances change. A pretty exciting past, the Coca-Cola bottle design, right? Now we're in real estate. I can talk for a few hours on Coca-Cola. Real estate, it's exciting because it's a successful business, but it just doesn't have the imagination behind it. It's like the difference between Disney World and restaurant chain. But we're proud of our real estate department. They do a good job, but that continuity and what you do to keep everyone together is it's the most important thing. And as I said before, it requires the most work. I'd like to tell you just a little bit about some of the things that have been effective for us in keeping family together, because it's not that Coca-Cola and real estate analogy is directly our challenge. It's the hard work we have to put in. Why should an 18-year-old in G5 or G6 care about what they know? The only thing they know. When I grew up, it was Coca-Cola. That was it. But now it's real estate. It's a little bit of a difficult. So what my family has done, and everybody's contributed to it, and everybody has an area of expertise in it. But there's a few things. I think one of the key moments was when we decided to write my father's biography. That was, we had some help, but I basically went through storytelling and then worked with writers to pull it together. Now, the first draft was 500 pages and not a very good read. The final draft was a different author that I worked with him and his wife to bring everything to life, not just document it. And it's a lot of pictures, and it's a beautiful book, and it has the heart, it has the history, it has the passion of my father. It's about him, Chapman Root. And it has the pictures, their honeymoon car and the trips to Disney and, the fun things. So that connected us. That worked really well. My cousins and my daughter and, they all loved it. So then let's just show you the challenge that goes into it. So they have this beautiful book. It's a 5x7. It's about 200 pages with lots of pictures. Well, and then not everybody has books. And so, then we developed this online presence that's still in the process, but you have to take those books and get them online. So they're ebooks. I found a treasure one time of my father in 1928, when he was 3 years old. So we made a movie about this. It was Root Glass Company and fabulous stuff. So we made a movie that has to go online. All of these things are part of the tools, the foundation, the programs it has, the films, the book, the hours of work that went into that. I did one on my father's racing too. He was at Indianapolis in the 50s. And it was a lot of hard work. And the expenditures were, they were at times great, but it was all worth it. And then you have all this stuff, and then it's like, oh, okay, everybody that's around 20 wants to have that online. And of course, that's the most convenient way to do it. So now this is my year to put everything on a Root Glass Company history website. So that's soon to come, and I think will be really helpful when we look at our 6 to 16-year-olds. That's going to open up a whole new world to them. They're just less likely to pick up a biography than they are to explore the web.
Yeah. I mean, that is absolutely the medium of choice and preference, I think, with many up-and-comers. When 60% of schools utilize virtual learning in their classrooms, we have to sort of step back and remind ourselves that the pandemic didn't start this. Virtual education has been moving in this direction, and you're adopting how to take critical heritage assets, right, and keep them alive and present. And it has to translate into how we learn, how we engage, how we experience family, and really all things now. So I think that's a great example of how you've been creative and innovative again, taking something maybe as traditional as biography, morphing it into now this online presence, and also making it alive and connectable to those that you really want to enfranchise. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're in the business of too, right? Is keeping that awareness, that humbleness, that instinct of where we came from, so that when we do things in our future, we're always coming back to, does this resonate? Does this hold true with my core family's values? Am I aligned? You know, am I doing this from the right place? And I really want to thank you, Preston, because every time I talk to you, I learn so much more. And you also inspire me to do this work. And so I'm so glad you could be here today on the Tamarind Learning Podcast.
Oh, thank you. I always like to talk to you. I'll keep listening for more of the webcasts, and I wish everybody the best and a great 2021. We're getting close to summer, and Kirby, thank you. It was great being here.
Thanks so much.